Okay, so we are going to talk about findings, corrective action plans, and internal controls. This is, a fun topic. Everybody likes to talk about findings and corrective actions and internal controls. Really, we're doing this one at all the conferences that we've done virtually because this is kind of important. If you've had a corrective action plan to do that you've, done with the state, you understand that you're required to turn that in. Well, Lori and I want to work with you guys to eliminate those as much as we possibly can. We understand not everybody's perfect. We understand mistakes are made and findings happen. But we'd like it to get to the point where it's not a repeat finding, meaning that it's happening from year to year. So we've kind of put this together. We'll kind of go over what the report looks like, and then I thought it might be kind of fun to visit, I say fun, again, to visit some of the common findings that are happening within different treasurers' offices across the state, okay? So let's start with kind of going over by a few changes that we had in the audit process, and the changes into the corrective action plans. Okay, so as a side note, before we start, I want to mention that this presentation itself will only be focusing on the financial audit reports. So while we do issue a federal compliance audit report for counties that qualify for a single audit, meaning that there was $750,000 or more in federal expenditures, the rules are slightly different for each of those. This is a little new, but in the past, prior to this audit, that most of you probably either had an audit or in the middle of an audit or getting ready to start an audit. But past, we did it all as one report. Now we're doing it as two separate reports if your county qualifies for a federal audit, okay? In the treasurer's office, you're going to be more likely to have a comment in the financial audit report, so I really wanted to shift our focus there. The federal really deals more with, certain grants and things like that. So, but if something were to happen and you would need guidance on a federal finding and a corrective action plan, you can work with your federal audit team, or you can call Lori and I, and we'll help you get to whoever you need to get to. We'll get you, get you on track as best we can, okay? Audio cutting out. Did you get that?
No.
Okay. Sorry, I want to make sure everybody hears, so let me, if I can stop sharing for a second. Auditing cutting out. Is anybody having trouble? It's very choppy. Grant County can hear just fine. Is anybody else having problems? I want to make sure everybody can hear. Very clear there. Marshall County hears fine. Okay. Jennifer and it looks like Denise, check your connections, okay? If not, we are recording, so you can always go back and pick it up later, okay? All right. I gotta find it again.
It's back up.
There we go. Okay. All right, so let's start with findings. All right, you've had your audit, the teams come in. They should be in open communication with you during the entire process. There should be no surprises. You should know what findings there are. I want to kind of touch on three different ones. So if a financial audit has an audit result and comment finding, okay, these are going to be reported within the supplemental compliance report. So when we issue our opinion, we have a separate financial report, and then we have the supplemental compliance report, which is where all the findings are housed, okay? You need to read them in connection with each other. So an audit result and comment is a significant non-compliance with statute or SBOA uniform compliance guidelines, such as manuals, your bulletins, directives, etc. Excuse me. These ARCs, as we like to call them, because we like to shorten stuff, are required for significant and impactful non-compliance. So, you know, an example for you guys would be, and I'm going to go extreme here, you haven't done a bank reconcilement in 6 months. You know, I mean, that's a big thing. It's very significant. It's very impactful to the county. If you're not doing those bank reconcilements, you're going to have an audit result and comment in a finding, okay? When it's an audit result and comment, it is in the public report, all right? We talk about it at the exit. We tell your board about it, and it's in the public report. All right, so we know what an audit result and comment is. I'd like to mention a couple other ones, okay? The first one that the next one we're gonna mention is a management letter finding. This finding is not significant noncompliance with statute, SBOA, or SBOA uniform compliance guidelines, but it is important enough that it would need to be disclosed to the governing bodies. All right, so this is something that, you know, is maybe, you know, I don't even know that I put even examples in here. So this is going to be something that's not going to rise to the level of, okay, we really think this needs to be reported, but it could. You know, it's kind of like maybe there, but it's not. So this is something that we're going to go into the exit. We're going to disclose it to the governing boards, okay? But it will not be in the public report. All right. The last one I want to discuss is a discussion-only finding. This finding is immaterial non-compliance with statute and SBOA uniform compliance guidelines. This could be an example of, you know, making small posting errors, you know, repeatedly. That's really this itty-bitty amount. Maybe it's interest on a bank statement. Just something just very, very immaterial. It doesn't hold a lot of weight. There's not a lot of impact. It could be a small dollar amount. It could be something that maybe only happened, you know, once or twice, that kind of a thing. This is something that we discuss with you as the official involved, but that's it. It's not discussed at the exit. It's not disclosed to the governing board. It's not part of the public report. It's just, hey, here's this. It does go into our audit work papers. All of these findings do. All right, so that we have that information, because we always have to document what we find, okay? You should be aware before the exit of any findings that are related to your office, regardless of which level they are. It's also worth mentioning that these findings are required to be reviewed during the next audit, okay? So we're looking for resolution, whether it's a discussion only, whether it's a management letter, or whether it's an audit result and comment. We're going to look for resolution on all of those. If these items are not resolved, or you're not working towards some kind of goal to get them resolved, or they're getting worse, they can be escalated to another level. So you could have a discussion only one year that turns into a management letter the next year, turns into an audit result and comment the next year. I mean, you know, so just so you know, we do look at all of these. You'll have to watch the time for me. I feel like I'm talking slow. Okay. So, financial audits. For financial audits, a financial audit report is issued. This could be a federal or a non-federal financial audit report, and it will be in the title, okay? So you will know. If there's audit results and comments, they won't be in that report. They're going to be issued in this supplemental compliance report, all right? It needs to be read in conjunction with the audit report. The audit report, again, is what houses your opinion. The supplemental compliance report is broke down into departments, so if there is an audit result and comment on the treasurer's office, or more than one, they will be housed together, okay? You should be able to see that on the title page, and you should be able to go right there, okay? The supplemental compliance report includes all audit results and comments and any official responses that the county wants to include. I wanted to include this on here just so that you know that if you did have a comment and you wanted to respond to it, you could. It is not mandatory. It is completely optional. And at the exit conference, they should go over those options with you, okay? Please also remember that if you are looking at past audit reports, okay, and you cannot find any comments in a supplemental compliance report that are on the treasurer's office, it doesn't mean that you weren't part of the audit, okay? It only means that there were no comments that needed to be reported, which is a good thing, okay? Okay, so we've talked about the different kinds of findings. Now I want to talk about corrective action plans, okay, for financial audits. So, only repeat comments require a corrective action plan, all right? Repeat is definitely the key word here, because if the comment has not appeared in a prior report, it does not require a corrective action plan. Okay, repeat comments are noted that they are repeat. They're like above the comment, it'll have like, you know, reported in prior report, and then the report number, which is normally like B, and then it has some numbers. Okay, so there should be a reference to the prior report if it is a repeat finding. At the exit conference, they should be going over a Form 4 with you, is what we call it. It will be presented for your signatures after the field examiner and or audit manager discuss your findings that you have. If you don't have any findings, they're not going to have an exit with you about that, okay? So they will discuss any findings that you have. If they are repeats, they will be noted on the Form 4, all right? So it should outline the requirements of what you need to do for the corrective action plan, which findings actually are repeat findings. So if you had 2 comments in the report, maybe only one of them would be a repeat. So only the one that's a repeat would need a corrective action plan. Again, they should go over all of this details. They should give you a copy of the Form 4. All right. The Form 4 also is where you would decide whether or not you wanted to make an official response. All right, and so that also gives you directions on there. Once that's all done, the corrective action plans will be submitted through our website. Okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit more Thursday, I think, or at least show you where it's at. Okay. Okay, so submitting repeat comments. You had your exit, you have a comment, it's a repeat from the prior year. What do you do? So again, the Form 4 instructions include the website address, right here that you can see, where the corrective action plan, or CAP, because again, we like to shorten things, is submitted. This link will take you to the web page, which not only includes the form to fill out, but the instructions, the templates, and the 1031 guidelines. The 1031 guidelines are, you know, what governs that repeat finding in the corrective action plans, okay? So I've included a screenshot of the template here. All right, this allows you a place to get everything down and together. All right, so you can print this, so you can write into it, because once you go to the website and you start filling out, this form will not save. All right, so there's no save option. So if you I would suggest print it out, write it down, that way you keep a copy for you, and then enter it and submit, okay? Again, if you have questions, you know, we've got a communications officer who works with the corrective action plans. Lori and I can help guide you there as well. And we have light that just came on. All right, so once you have your exit, you have 10 calendar days after that exit to submit your corrective action plan. And the county has 6 months from submission of your corrective action plan to implement. All right, so our communication officer is willing to work with you on completion. There's 30-day extensions that can be requested, but really the key here is just communicate with our communications officer on this. They will work with you. Lori and I, and even our communications officer, we are all aware that there are some corrective action plans that cannot be corrected within 6 months, okay? And these are where you just kind of need to stay in contact, emailing us, working with us. We've worked with others who maybe, you came into office and there were some reconciling issues and you're trying to figure it out and you start carrying that balance, and Lori and I are working with you to keep carrying that balance until we know for sure it's not changing. We may step in and help with your corrective action plan so that they know that we're involved, and it may exceed that 6 months, okay? But work with us, talk with us. We'll make it as easy as possible for you, okay?
I have a question.
Oh.
Which goes back to your earlier slide.
I'm sorry.
We had an audit last year. I wasn't even invited to the closing interview. In order to view our results, do I need to go to the SBOA website? I never signed off on anything. I know I participated in the entrance interview and had to answer questions for the field examiner.
Okay, so if you were not invited into the exit, you didn't have any findings, didn't have any comments in the report, okay? If you did, they would meet with you, they would need your signature. So the exit itself, when it was hosted, would have probably been with the auditor, council, and your commissioners. It would have went over the county as a whole and any findings that didn't really include you. Like I said, if it was including the treasurer's office, you would have been included in the exit. So again, for you, it's a good thing that you weren't there. If you're wanting to review those findings, yes, you could obviously talk to your auditor and if there's something you need to be concerned with, but you can go to our website, you can pull up that county report, you can look through it and see if there's any, what those comments were. But again, if you weren't sitting there, if they didn't go over any of that with you, then those findings are not on your office. Anything else?
Nope. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Sorry, I lost track there. Okay. All right. I would say this is the fun part, but I don't.
It's the fun part.
It's the fun part. I will be honest, as I was doing all of these, Lori and I, we are really committed to working on these with you guys and trying to get repeats being few and far between, not just in your office, but all the departments. We are, I was looking through tons of reports for all of this, and I'm seeing where the actual repeat findings are significantly reducing from even where we were a year ago. So kudos to everybody who is really putting in the work to try and take care of these. But we just kind of want to stay on track with you guys so that once we, get them to few and far between, we keep them there. We don't slide back, okay? So, again, I thought it might be kind of a good idea to see some common repeat findings that, have been across the state. I have removed any reference to the county. I've combined some. If there's been a couple that were similar, I just combined them, changed the wording. I added one that I saw in a different department. It wasn't for the treasurers, but it could be, and we're seeing a rise on it. So I made it up, just so you know, for the treasurer's office. There is no particular order in these findings that we're seeing, and I'm not, not rating them from 1 to 5 as worst, the best one ever to the worst one ever. They're just comments, okay? So hopefully we got time. All right. I do number them just because it helped me, but again, they're not really in an order. Okay, get that out of the way. Okay, so probably, let's see, so this one, depository reconciliations of the fund balances to the bank account balances were conducted. However, the county's main bank account did not reconcile with the county treasurer's records. The differences on the reconcilements ranged between $35,000 cash short to $18,000 cash long during the audit period. Additional errors were noted on the reconciliations at December 31st, and I meant to change that to 2019, sorry, including several checks for recorded in December 2019 that did not clear the bank, were not listed on the outstanding checklist. A $500,000 investment was redeemed and recorded twice in the treasurer's daily cash book. A $72,000 transfer was incorrectly subtracted from the bank balance instead of being added. This is a very common finding or audit result and comments, not just, for treasurers, though you guys handle, biggest bulk of the money, but it does happen in other departments too, your clerk's office, your recorder's offices that have bank accounts. I've kind of started with this one in all of them. So again, we find this across the board, but it's always different. It's never the same finding when it comes to bank account reconciliations. It's like I said, it's always different. But what I do have to say, and I've said it before, and I'll probably say it again, is that if you have an unidentified variance, you are not reconciled. You're only reconciled when you can identify those differences, such as an outstanding check or a bank fee, okay? So unidentified is not a reconciling item. And I have to stress that because sometimes, we write down, we're like, oh, we know it's unidentified, but if it's unidentified, you're not reconciled. So we understand you guys have normally lots of bank accounts, and you need to reconcile them to all be in compliance with IC 513.6.1E, which states, all local investment officers shall reconcile at least monthly the balance of public funds as disclosed by the records of the local officers with the balance statements provided by the respective depositories. I know you guys have all heard that before, but remember that reconciling to the bank every month helps ensure a couple things. Money received and dispersed on the ledger agrees to what's going in and out of the bank, okay? Like Lori said, the bank's their record, your ledger's yours. So it also helps identify any issues between the auditor's ledger and the treasurer's ledger, okay? The other one thing that it does kind of help is that it can, I don't want to say prevent, but it can help detect if anyone has gained access to your account without your knowledge, all right? So anyone that has not been authorized. And again, we're going to go more on detail on this one in a little bit. So with this is a non-compliance issue, but it's also an internal control issue. The treasurer's office should have proper controls in place, which does involve a segregation of duties. Like I threw those internal controls right on in there. So there really needs to be more than one employee involved in the deposits, posting in the cash book, in the treasurer's ledger, and performing reconcilements. A policy should be established that promotes oversight to detect errors and even fraud. Please also remember that with internal controls, you must document the control. So use a signature, a log sheet, an email, or anything else that shows the controls are in place. Again, I've said this, a field examiner cannot test or verify that the control is in place or working properly if there's no documentation of it, okay? So we don't care what your documentation is, just document, 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 okay? I'm getting hungry, my stomach's full.
Didn't get your donut.
I didn't get donuts. Okay. So another common one is timely recording. So the county did not record electronic fund transfers from the auditor of state in a timely manner. Both the auditor and treasurer recorded the transactions 2 weeks after receiving distributions in 30% of the distributions tested. All right. So all according to the Accounting and Uniform Compliance Guidelines Manual for County Treasurers, Chapter 1, all financial transactions pertaining to the unit must be recorded in the records of the unit at the time of the transaction. And while I said that's in the manual for county treasurers, it's also in the manual for county auditors as well. So there should be procedures in place to record any electronic fund transfers received by the county in a timely manner, working with the auditor's office to make sure that it gets posted on their side as well, okay? Again, internal controls play a part here as well. You have a responsibility to develop controls within the office to make sure that these are identified when they come in and recorded timely. Okay. This one I super shortened. Sorry, there's a lot on this one. Okay, so internal controls over financial transactions and reporting. The county treasurer's office did not have an effective system of controls in place designed to prevent or detect errors associated with financial transactions, closing, and reporting. Okay, in this example, there were 3 different ones. So, for the cash book, the county treasurer's bookkeeper recorded all transactions to the county treasurer's cash book with no oversight or review process. There were several posting errors, totaling 3672.89. There's controls over bank reconcilements. The depository reconcilements of the fund balance to the bank account balance were completed. The bank reconcilement for one bank account contained various reconciling items that dated as far back as 2012. The bank reconcilements did not include sufficient detail for all reconciling items. And the other control that's listed here is that there's no documented internal controls in place to reconcile the county auditor's fund ledger between, sorry, I should just say to the county treasurer, I guess between the county auditor and the county treasurer's offices. During the year, the month-end differences between the auditor's ledger ranged from negative 123,456 to 578,901 different from the county treasurer's.
I'm having trouble hearing again. I don't know why. Could it be that microphone, wouldn't it?
It's that microphone. Is it a lot?
2 people, so they're, one said they can't hear anything and one said it's very choppy.
I don't know if there's anything I can do on my end. This one says good here.
I'm not being able to hear, so maybe it's the connection.
Yeah,
there.
please check your connections. I'm not really sure. I know that our microphone is in a cart in front of us, not our laptop, so that we don't get feedback and you don't get that feedback. Again, I'll try and slow down what I'm saying, but if it's still choppy and you still can't hear it, I am recording, so I will try and get that up so you can, re-listen. All right. Sorry. No, it's okay. I just got to find my place again. Okay, so I think it's the last one where the county auditor's ledger balance exceeded the county treasurer's fund ledger balance by $33,987. Okay, so the Indiana State Board of Accounts is required under Indiana Code 511-127. She moved her camera. to define the acceptable minimum level of internal control standards. All right, so to provide clarifying guidance, the state examiner compiled the standards contained in the manual Uniform Internal Control Standards for Indiana political subdivisions. All political subdivisions subject to audit by SBOA are expected to adhere to these standards. The standards include adequate control activities, which are actions and tools established through policies and procedures to help to detect, prevent, or reduce the identified risks that interfere with the achievement of objectives. So detection activities are designed to identify unfavorable events in a timely manner, whereas prevention activities are designed to deter the occurrence of an unfavorable event. Okay? So examples could include, your reconciliations, authorizations, approval processes, performance reviews, verification processes. All right? So, but an integral part of your internal controls is segregation of duties. And a lot of times when you see findings like these, there's one person. You heavily start to rely on one person in your office, and they're doing everything. Well, one person can't be an internal control system, okay? So the expectation of segregation of duties is something where you have multiple people involved in the process. So while somebody's doing it, somebody else is reviewing it, okay? Obviously, there's some compliance, issues happening here, but all in all, they're really kind of immaterial to the financial statements. When you're talking $3,000 or even $33,000 in the very last one, so the money that you guys take in as a county, that's, peanuts. So it's really immaterial. But if there's no one else involved in it, then we have a control issue happening, okay? And so in this one, the internal control issue is the biggest of the problems. So remember, internal controls are there to help detect errors and fraud. And by errors, we can be talking about simple posting error, which happens all the time. We're only human, so if we're entering it, you can switch numbers around, things like that. Or not doing an essential part of the job, as in reconciling, okay? So, and again, while Lori and I, we love to talk about internal controls, it's really important that your office designs effective controls. It doesn't only, again, detect errors and fraud, but it also helps protect everybody and make everybody accountable, okay? And again, if you are looking through some of this and you're having some control issues, or you just maybe don't even know where to begin, and we're going to go over some of that on Thursday as well. But Lori and I will be more than happy. Send us an email, give us a phone call. We can't design your controls for you, but we can talk to you, give suggestions, brainstorm with you on what could work, what couldn't work, things like that. Or maybe you have an idea, and maybe we'll have some extra questions in there that maybe you hadn't thought of. All right? So please use us and give us a call. There we go. Okay. All right. I may have to speed it up.
You got 15 minutes.
So, okay. So the fourth one that we've got here is the monthly financial report, 47TR. So the county treasurer's monthly financial report, Form 47TR, is to be prepared by the 16th day of the following month. All 12 of the 2019 year reports were prepared after the 16th day of the following month. Some were prepared several months later. So, statute, Indiana Code 36-2-10-16A states in part, before the 16th day of each month, the treasurer shall prepare a report showing as the close of business on the last day of the preceding month okay? This report should be prepared in, I think I spelled that wrong, quadruplicate. I think I spelled that wrong. Sorry. And each copy shall be verified by certificate of the treasurer. The treasurer shall retain 1 copy as a public record in the office, and 3 copies shall be filed with the county auditor. The county auditor shall file the original of said reports with the records of the County Board of Finance. 1 copy shall be presented to the Board of County Commissioners at its next regular meeting, and the county auditor shall immediately transmit 1 copy to us. Not really us, but State Board of Accounts, us, okay? That is all in statute 362911 and 36.2.10.16, along with Chapter 5 of the Treasurer's Manual. This is an important monthly report, okay, that, as you all know, shows what's being held on the cash book along with the balance on the ledger, and that it reconciles to the cash. The county commissioner should be reviewing this monthly.
I have a question. Can you give maybe one example of an effective control? I think it was before the 47 TR, but
Effective control.
Just one example of an effective control.
I guess it depends on what we're talking about, but bank reconcilements seem to be one of the easier ones, right? So if you're in your office, maybe, it depends on how many are in there. Let's say you've got an office of 4. You've got one that maybe posts the cash book. You've got another that maybe does the bank reconcilements, okay? They kind of work together, and then somebody goes and reviews that. So whether that's your treasurer, whether it's somebody else that's assigned that they need to have knowledge of it, they're able to review, make sure that all the numbers fit where they're supposed to be, and then they sign off on it, saying, hey, this is correct, and maybe sign the bottom of it and date. That could be an effective control. Does that help?
They want, the other question is the retention period for the 47 TR. We have to look that up. I don't know it off the top of my head.
I don't know that off the top of my head.
We can look it up. Yes, thank you. That did help.
Retention. I'm going to write notes. Retention.
Yeah. We can do it. We can announce it tomorrow.
Yeah.
That website.
Let me look it up for you. Okay. So for the 47 TR, again, think about internal controls. There should be something in place that not only makes sure this is completed timely and in compliance with the statute, but that it is completed properly and is an accurate reflection of the treasurer's records. And don't forget to document, document, document. So I think, I always say document, document, document. She kind of makes fun of me sometimes.
I never.
When it comes to internal controls, because I've been out in the field and I've seen, we've looked at these controls, and, if you're telling me you're doing something, it's not that I don't believe you, I just can't test it if there's no signature or no email or some sort of documentation that shows that you did it. And again, it doesn't have to be a signature, it doesn't have to be an email, it just needs to be some sort of documentation. So it could be a log, it could be really any of those kinds of things, just so that we can see that it's being done, okay? Okay. All right, so I only have 5, so this is the 5th common finding that we're seeing. And actually, this is the one that I made up, so I'll just tell you that I made this one up. I didn't really make it up, I just made it up for the treasurer's office. I have not seen this in the treasurer's office, but we are seeing this more and more and more. This is the misappropriation of funds, or really, it's the failure to immediately report losses of public funds. So in this case, the county treasurer failed to immediately report to the Indiana State Board of Accounts. I did not change that from the last time.
We talked about that.
Losses, of public funds through a banking scheme. Verbal notice was given to the field examiners on site 6 months after the loss was discovered. Forgive my spelling errors. Per the county treasurer, the bank account was compromised in November. The county treasurer discovered the loss while performing the monthly bank reconcilement, and the funds were returned by the bank in the amount of $5,693. All right, this is important, okay? So pursuant to Indiana Code 511-127J, all political subdivisions are required to report to us all erroneous or irregular material variances, losses, shortages, or thefts of local funds or property. This is to be applied regardless if it is caused by an employee or an outside party who fraudulently gets access to your bank account. This can be reported on our website in the section under responsibilities under IC 511-127. On Thursday, again, I'm going to go over where this is on the website so that I can actually show you, okay? So in this finding, the treasurer was performing monthly bank reconcilement, which is what caught the theft. So there was a process in place. There are controls in place that actually caught it. So for what the treasurer is doing, this is a good thing. While most banks, okay, will refund the money in cases like this, there normally is a time frame involved. The most common I've heard about is 30 days. There have been a few that have been longer than that. So what we're going to suggest is that you get with your bank, talk to them about what's their range, okay, so that you know how long you have to report those funds being gone. And hopefully we can get them back, because, you know, check fraud and people getting a hold of your bank account and, you know, somebody from the outside doing it, it's happening more and more and more. All right, so again, get with your financial institution, determine what their policy is, adapt your controls accordingly, all right, so that you can hopefully get that money back. And while we understand we may not be your first call, all right, when something like this happens, we do need to be notified as soon as possible, okay? So it's really more the notification in this one than anything else. We just want to remind everybody as we're seeing this being a little bit more common. Any questions?
Yes, since I upload the 47TR2 gateway monthly, does the auditor still need to send the hard copy in?
Yes, they do. Statute says the auditor must submit it to us. I am going to go over, I think that's the last, on Thursday we're going to talk about that a little bit more in detail, because I do know that some of you are putting it in Gateway, which is fine. It is completely okay to put it there, but the auditor still is required to submit it to us. Okay? Anything else?
No. Good. That was it.
All right. So I put this in here, which is the kind of cover. I should have put a black line around it. But it's the Uniform Internal Control Standards manual that we have. I've included this link here that takes you to it on our website. So please remember, internal controls need to be designed and implemented to detect fraud, errors, and omissions. There are two things I want to remind you about with this. Again, segregation of duties. Internal controls cannot exist when only one person is involved in the process. There should always be someone else. All right, and two is document. If one of the controls is you reviewing the bank reconcilement performed by another employee or vice versa, there needs to be a document of that review. It could be as simple, again, as initialing and dating or sending an email confirming the review. It needs to work for your office, so implement accordingly. Internal controls, we get it, can be a little much sometimes, but we wanted to provide you with this manual to help you design and implement controls for your county. There's, again, a direct link. It just gives you lots of great information to get you kind of started. And again, on Thursday, I got another document I want to talk about to help you. Okay. Again, Lori and I are an email or a phone call away. All right, and these look just like us, right? Yes. So let's see. So again, we'll be more than happy to brainstorm with you, talk with you about the internal controls, your repeat findings, working with you to get those corrected and moving forward, any of that stuff. Email, phone call, we're right here. Okay, there's a question.
Do we need to report all the fraud attempts on our bank accounts to State Board of Accounts? Positive Pay caught them and no money was lost. Should we report those?
So I gotta remember Positive Pay.
Positive Pay is where they send a list of the disbursements out and they check it. The bank checks it, and if it's not on the list, it doesn't go.
It doesn't go out. That they didn't touch your bank account, correct?
Yes.
So no. But if it did, yes. Makes sense.
Yes. Yes. I can do the attempts, just the second
Yeah.
one.
All right. Wait, got another one. Okay, I will actually talk about that in just a second. Okay, so I sent out a link I sent out an email yesterday. If you didn't get it, all the presentations, including the agenda, are on our website on the Treasurer's page. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's a presentations and training materials. There's a little kind of a gray arrow to the right. If you click that, it will kind of do like an accordion style menu and come down. And it's just under the 2020 virtual conference, okay? So you can download them, print them, they're all gonna be there. I will tell you, we just received Treasurer of State's office is gonna speak Thursday morning. I just received their PowerPoint this morning while we were here. I have sent it to our person to put it on the website, so look for that this afternoon to be up there. So you can get it printed, but you won't need it until Thursday. I just wanted you to know that it is going to be something additional that's going to be put up there, okay? Well, that really brings us to the end of day one with like 2 minutes to spare. So a couple housekeeping things before we go. Let me stop sharing my screen real quick. Okay. All right. You should have a separate link for tomorrow. The link that you use today will not work for tomorrow, okay? So if you can't find it or you're having an issue with it, send me an email, either, to the counties. We'll get you something. I've got a generic link I can share with you to get you in if we need to. Treasurers, please share your link. You reach out to us and then share your link with those who you want to be a part of it, okay? Tomorrow we're going to be opening again at 8:30. What?
Phil said, but I like this link.
Oh, well.
You'll have to like the next one just
right,
as well.
Just as nice. So tomorrow we're going to be opening the WebEx again at 8:30. Give you Eastern Standard Time. I always forget to say that. Eastern Standard Time. For those of you who would like to log on early, make sure that you can get connected and don't have any issues. Lori and I will be monitoring the county's email box. So if you encounter an issue in the morning before 9, we'll try and help you navigate them or get you to somebody who can. Outside of that, we will be working this afternoon, so if something comes up or you have a question that maybe you didn't get answered on here and you want to send it, we can try to address it tomorrow or Thursday, depending if it fits better on one of those days. Outside of that, unless you have another question, which I'm not seeing.
I haven't seen any more come in at all.
Let me make sure before I got 3 over here. Hold on a minute. Oh, hold on a minute. Nope. Here's one. Okay. All right, so, sorry, this came to our email box. So Nicole, she is saying, audit year 1 with a finding and correct it. Audit second year with a different finding that is not mentioned in the prior year as a discussion or finding, thus not knowing it was something to correct. So if nothing was said to you, okay, about if it was a completely new finding the second year, you won't have to do a repeat for it, all right? A corrective action for that repeat, because it's not a repeat. A repeat is something that's in that prior report. hopefully that clarifies that.
Let me see, Angie.
Oh, I haven't got there yet.
Oh, okay.
All right, if we have an EFT deposit and the treasurer allows for on the cash book, but the auditor does not have a fund set up, so the monies cannot be credited into the fund for several days, would there be a finding against the treasurer? No, I mean, you need to work and get it, at least you're accounting for it. I think in the example, I kind of shortened that a little bit because it was very, very long. They were it was just like they were putting these emails over here to the side. They weren't coming anywhere. If you're at least getting it on the cash book, you are recording it at that point. But it needs to be moving, the auditor needs to be setting up the fund and it needs to be moving over. Hopefully that answers that question. I think that was the last one, I think. I want to make sure we get everybody before we let you go. No. Okay. Okay. So I hope you guys enjoyed day one. It was just a little bit of a taste. Tomorrow we got a couple more hours with some fun topics. Thursday, Treasurer of State's going to join us. Treasurer of State's office is going to join us in the morning, talk about investments and Trust Indiana. So be prepared for any questions that you may have there. And outside of that, I guess have a wonderful afternoon. And
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in today. Okay, thank you, Paula. All right, well, you guys can all sign off, and we will see you tomorrow morning.